What's up, guys? You know who it is. Ninja May here. We are finally back after a long little hiatus here. We got the first UFC event in 2023. UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Imavov. Short notice over here for Mr. Strickland. And we got some other replacements here on this card. Speaking of short notice, I just want to talk about two fights here. I want to break them down mostly and give you a nice little parlay legs here. We're going to talk about first Dan Argueta versus Nick Aguirre. Now, Aguirre, as you know, is a short notice here coming in, and it's gonna be a very interesting fight for the fans. It's kind of nice that just get right off the bat on the prelims here. I'm really interested in this one. I've been looking at it, and I just want to kind of give you a nice little sweet breakdown here, short breakdown, I guess you want to say. Now, I think what we all kind of remember when with this is that that loss, Argueta's loss to Damon Jackson. That was his debut in the UFC, really. Like I said, Damon having a big height and reach advantage, and coming out with a grappling heavy approach, while Argueta was a short notice fight for Jackson. It's a good showing. You learn a lot from losses sometimes from these fighters, right? It's great when you're the hammer, but sometimes you want to see what it's like when they're the nail, right? Jackson ends up getting 4 minutes of control time in that first round, and we kind of see rinse and repeat. Jackson was using his legs to alternate between body triangle and then just hooking him over Argueta's thighs to hooks just to keep him there. But Argueta was interesting. He kept hitting Jackson in the face while his back was taken, and you'd see Jackson's eyes start swelling up. So it just kind of showed good grit and that he actually does have some power. If you look at his build, he's a very stocky kind of wrestler. 5'7" at 145 pounds, stocky guy. 70-inch reach is nice for him though. And when he does want to kind of get his striking going a little bit, it's developing. And you'd see, like I said, Jackson just kept getting more control time, and just, Argueta was trying to come out aggressive, but, it's tough, like I said, short notice. He showed at least good grit and good cardio with this, so I think, and that's really you want to see. Now, I think an interesting thing about this, you'll see, I think his wrestling, we all know, Argueta and Aguirre, both of these guys, they're grapplers, that's their bread and butter, right? So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. And in some ways, I think, honestly, it's kind of favorable for Argueta because he's going to be used to this, to be honest with you. Argueta's training out of Jackson Wink MMA, and you'll see UFC Costa Mesa, right? You see him when he had Combat Global and stuff. You see all his previous fights, and he looked good. He showed really good wrestling, good ground and pound there. I do he's got those nice single legs, double legs, good takedowns. The top control looks good as well. He'll have the nice heavy ground and pound, and even has a submission game as well. So really good as a grappler. You like to see it. It's really good. And his striking is getting better and better. He's still fairly young, so he'll keep developing. Now his opponent though, let's talk a little bit about Aguirre. The big thing, the narrative here is that it's just. Look, I don't want to speak too much about the cons. I want to, talk about his accolades as well, or his, what he brings to the table. But look, just the competition, his last fight with, he's finished all. One good thing to say is all 7 fight win streak is all finishing them, almost all of them in the first round. It's amazing, but except for the last one, it was in the second round, right? But that guy ended up he ended up retiring after that. An 0-2 guy, so it is what it is, right? Beating Clausen right there by a rear naked choke, and round 2 minutes 34 seconds. If you see that, it's on YouTube on Coliseum Combat, and like I said, he's doing what he has to. He's doing what he should do. When you're in that real regional scene, you're kind of in the fighting less competition. You're getting out there and you're finishing them. It's really great, right? Getting a lot of submissions there, but it's just kind of tough because we wonder, it's a big step up for him, and you kind of have to wonder about the cardio when you're finishing guys so quickly. You have to wonder what he's going to look like in those later rounds. But he looks good though. Like I said, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Really solid grappling base, right? And I think actually he has a pretty well timed takedowns though. He's kind of like I said, very similar. Both guys are actually quite similar in a way, in that they both like to get in there as soon as possible and to get the grappling going. They're smart to stick to their game plan. It's kind of nice because when the opponent will try to strike with him, he'll just duck under and then just go for right for the takedown. So it's really good. He's smart about it. He doesn't just stay there and flay his limbs around or try to fight at the opponent's. In other words, he doesn't try to match the opponent. He tries to just make his game plan work, which is really good. yeah, I mean, the ground pound looks good as well. He'll mix in the elbows too. It looks nasty. You know, and it's good. Like, he'll get in that dominant position. Like I said, if he can get in that dominant position, he will look dominant, obviously. You know, yeah, good submission threat as well. And I think his cardio, at least, I mean, like I said, it's been looking good. Like, he doesn't seem, like I said, it's easy to look good when you're finishing guys mostly in the first round, but I mean, he keeps up a good pace. I feel like, honestly though, I think it's just like, it's really good. I mean, short notice for him, it's tough to gonna go out against Argueta, right? And especially when you got a similar a skill base, right? It's just kind of who's gonna be the better guy. It's kind of tough because, I mean, Nick Aguirre, his best bet is wants to grapple, wants to get in that dominant position. I think Argueta will be able to reverse it. He's like, you know, the stockier, like, kind of a guy, better competition. And yeah, I mean, he'll still have that fight. We know that he'll be able to keep fighting. And I do believe, because he has that offensive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game himself, I think that should, at least on paper, usually when you have submission ability, you're able to defend against those. It should help your defense, right? So what it's going to boil down to is, I don't think they're going to sub one another, maybe. So it's going to boil down to, like, who can get that kind of control time going, get that ground and pound going. And they've both shown really good ground and pound. I just feel like Argueta, because of that, I mean, it might neutralize. You might see some more stand-up than we normally see in their fights. And I think if that does happen, I think Argueta should be the slightly better striker, really. I mean, just a little more polished, right? The good, you know, boxing there. He's got power as well. And both guys have shown that they've had to hurt guys, but I think the power advantage would go for Argueta. He's got that stocky build, and he's kind of shown that he can hurt you. He can, you know, just like he swole up. He had Jamie Jackson's eye swollen. So I do feel like Argueta's going to get a decision. I was actually wondering about over 1.5 for this. Nick Aguirre, like, I mean, he'll come out. I wonder, like, if, you know, like I said, we haven't seen him really be the nail so much. So I wonder if maybe Argueta can sap that cardio. We'll see if they keep going. But like I said, Aguirre has that nice grappling of his own, so that's his bread and butter. So I think they could neutralize. Maybe I think over 1.5. I think Dan Argueta gets this done by decision. I think it'll be a really interesting fight. I want to see if Aguirre can really step up to the challenge. But I think, yeah, also over 1.5, like I said, I think that'd be a nice little parlay piece as well. So Argueta money line maybe, or if you want to have a separate parlay over 1.5 for this one, we'll see. Hopefully that's a little riskier one maybe, because we're not sure how Argueta will look in this short notice fight. But yeah, that's my take for that one. I want to move on to the next one, guys. Another very interesting matchup as well. Should be a fun one. You know, we got Basharat over here, man, you know. JAVID Basharat versus MATEUS Mendonca, or Mendonca if you want to talk like that. That's it's going to be a really interesting one. This one I'm going to do a little bit I've been kind of on the Basharat hype train. I know, like, some people were kind of fading him or like whatever, but he's been doing well. You know, Extreme Couture working there, and I've seen him actually getting some training with Cody Garbrandt as well. And you know, I think like I said, you want to see that, you know, looking good on Instagram. It's nice. MATEUS Mendonca, though, really making waves here with that blue hair. He's a fun one because he's a kill or be killed kind of guy. So it's going to be a really fun one. I want to kind of talk about this beating around the bush. I want to kind of just give you my straight up thoughts on this. I mean, no hot takes here, guys. Just good takes, right? Hopefully. Basharat versus Mendonca, I think, you know, Basharat, like, he seems to be the more technical fighter everywhere, right? You know, he's on a winning streak too, and there's a reason for that, right? Mendonca, he's a bit of a diamond in the rough, and that's how I see it. He's got potential, obviously. You know, he's wild with the striking, but he has success there because of his power. And his grappling success, I mean, it usually comes more from, like, strength and skill, I would say, when you go back and watch his stuff. I mean, just wild out there. You know, he's got that really aggressive style whether he's grappling, whether he's striking. You know, I think Basharat, though, he has good defensive grappling too to counteract this. And I think, you know, he'll attempt subs himself also from guard. And he's got good takedown defense as well. So, I mean, it's just kind of hard to see MATEUS really getting him to the ground. If he does, I think Basharat should be able to kind of reverse it or, like, get back to his feet. You know, I think Mendonca, you know, he trains out of shoot box with a similar fighter, Willie Cat. That was, you know, he was a good underdog. He kind of had a nice upset. And, you know, they're, like I said, they're both wild with power. But Mendonca is young at 23, and, you know, he'll keep improving. So it's going to be a really fun one too. I feel like Basharat, he kind of wants to, maybe he'll want to point fight a little bit when MATEUS kind of getting a little wild. I think Mendonca needs to get a little wild here. I mean, to just try to force the fight, because if he's a little, he has his hands down low too, which is kind of bad. Like, if he has him low and just kind of, like, you know, he's just kind of being too hesitant, I think Basharat kind of use that kind of he has a little bit of traditional martial arts style with the kicks and stuff. I mean, and then he'll also use the wrestling. So it's really interesting approach from Basharat. I think that will kind of cause some trouble for Mendonca if he's not in the face and aggressive. And that's what he has to do. That's his best bet of winning, I think, Mendonca, because if not, he could end up losing a decision to Basharat. I do feel like Basharat gets this done by decision, actually, to be honest with you. Mendonca, maybe if he lands the power, he has to get a little bit wild there. He just has to, like I said, he's kill or be killed, so I do feel like he'll bring it. But I think Basharat, I think moneyline, that's good. I mean, I was running about over 1 fight for this one as well, actually, just because I think that, Basharat can kind of, he can take his time, kind of, have success on the ground, have success on the feet, point fight, be a little bit slicker there and kind of counter Mendonca, right? Because Mendonca's going to come aggressive. But it's a really fun one. I think it's going to be a banger as well, to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to this one, man. The prelims are going to deliver with these fights. So that's why, no hot takes here. Like, they're kind of steamed, but I think Basharat and Argueta, moneyline, those guys are steamed. But it's nice little parlay pieces, right, if you want to add it. If you've got a confident pick yourself, you don't know what to add, I think Basharat and Argueta there are good. Alternatively, you can add, like I said, Argueta versus Aguirre over 1.5, and then Basharat money line over there. I think that I'm looking forward to those. So that's what I said, guys. Like I said, no hot takes. Just some. These are obviously big favorites, but looking watching their tape. Even from the beginning when this was announced, I thought, this is. I saw it. I went back, watched tape, and my opinion still stays the same. But I do think they're going to be fun fights. Like Mendonca and Aguirre, they bring it. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to go up against this kind of stiff competition in, Basharat and Argueta. So, that's all I said. Like and sub, all that good stuff, And, let me know what you guys think. You agree, disagree? Let's talk about some good bets here. And good luck. Enjoy the first fight the first card of 2023, guys. Peace.